Happy Thursday. Hi, everybody. Hello. Coming in. Say hello when you come on. My Facebook and YouTube is kind of like, I think something changed my camera settings in this one. I'll figure it out later, but it's not looking too bright and too, but anyway, I'll see. But anyway, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome. Coming in. Say hello. Come on in. Say hello. I know we've got many questions. Come on in, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hello, TikTok fam. Happy New Year, lecture. For those of you who already had a first live of the year 2 days ago, but I know. Hello, Mr. Professor. How are you? Hello. Hi, Facebook and YouTube family. What's going on? Let's see. I am the healer. Hello, how are you? BCB braids and locks. Hello. I was locked out. I don't think I have anything on Friday. I don't know. I haven't checked my schedule, so if you don't say anything, tomorrow's Friday, right? Listen, it's been a week, y'all. I may sound like I'm tired. I'm not tired. I'm just a bit frustrated with everything that's going on to the immigrant community. So, it's not being tired. It's just tired of this. Just tired of the nonsense. But anyway, I mean, if you go on our website, it's the easiest way to access the link. So my availability is going to be on there. So whatever you see is what I have available. Happy New Year, Titi Shields. Yeah, right. So it's just been a lot. We were still trying to figure out everything from yesterday, and then today is another story. But God remains in control. But anyway, come on in, everyone. This is Attorney Abisola Adebola Olale. I'm an immigration attorney based in Alabama, representing immigration clients in all 50 states. If you've got an immigration case, if it's a case type that we handle, we can and do represent immigration clients regardless of the state you live in. So, I'm not sure what's going on with my Facebook and YouTube, but anyway, can y'all hear me okay? I'm not ready to. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Greetings from Boston Olale from New York, and Happy New Year to you as well, Miss Levels. Thank you for joining in. God will see us through this year in Jesus' name, amen. It's a new year. We're just a week into the year, but God remains in control. God remains in control. That's all I keep saying, and I've been saying since yesterday. I've always said, but now more than ever, God remains in control. If we can help you with your immigration case, please contact our office 334-341-4475. Visit our website at olalayalawfirm.com. We'll be more than happy to help you. It is a challenging time. Let me put it that way. It's a challenging season, but there's nothing that has happened or is about to happen that God is not aware of, and that's just the truth. So we take it a day at a time and just keep praying, keep hoping, keep praying. Just listen. If anything we've learned, just know that in trying to defend and stand your ground, quote unquote, and your rights and all that, you can only do that when you are alive. So it's good to fight, but we can only fight when we are here. So we have to obviously operate with wisdom. That's just what it is, and that's just what we're saying. But anyway, once again, if you need immigration services, we represent immigration clients in all states. It doesn't matter what state you live in. Immigration is federal practice, so I can represent immigration clients in every state. 334-341-4475, olalayalawfirm.com. info@olalayalawfirm.com is the email address. Please like, follow, share. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn at Olalay Immigration. We'd be more than happy to help you Yes, and listen, if nothing, that's the one thing I hope that everyone can still come together and still, look forward to in this in our gathering twice a week. We come together as a community of immigrants every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. Any other times and they might be below AI. There's a whole lot of AI out there. But in all seriousness, it is a place for us to come together in faith. We pray, we talk all things about God, and encourage one another. And I think really we can see that if nothing, this is something we need to be able to do for each other now more than ever. So just keep praying, keep believing, keep trusting. There is nothing God has started that He cannot complete. But the one thing I always say is He never promised us that there won't be any challenges or obstacles on the way. We just have to keep remember where the source of our strength and where our help comes from. We'll lift our eyes to the hills, in spite of all that may be going on around us. Let's talk immigration, y'all. So I just wanted to take a moment. You might sound like, so that's, listen, I just even my brain could not even think of anything like what as in topic. So we're just going to do our first Q&A session of the year. There were so many questions on Tuesday that we couldn't get to. So if you're one that had your question on Tuesday and you could not get the answers to your question on Tuesday, and you're here, please put your question in the comment section. Do not repeat questions. If you repeat your questions, they will they will not be answered. I will just keep your questions all together. So because it just takes away from being able to go through everybody's questions. So if I get to questions at the end of what we want to talk about, but on question nights like this, we start with questions. So just put them in your comment section, and I'll read through all the platforms, as many as we can get through. But please do not repeat. And responses to your questions are general information, nothing specific to anyone's case. Hello, Mr. Kelvin. Happy New Year. So just note that. Anyway, all right. So let's get started. I'll give some time for people to write their questions. Hello, Mr. Artist. How are you? But please pray. How are you? How was your holiday? Please pray for, especially, yesterday's incident specifically reminds us that sometimes it may feel like we are the only ones fighting this battle, but the truth of the matter is, just like yesterday, there are people who are actually citizens who are fighting with us. They're American born, but because they know that this treatment towards immigrants is just inhumane and just unfair, and they're putting themselves in harm's way, literally, on behalf of immigrants. So that is just a reminder that we do not fight alone. God fights in our battles, but we do not fight alone in literal forms as well. But we need to be careful at the end of the day. But let's remember the families of, the loved ones of the people who were affected. Let's remember the immigrant communities, specifically in the state of Minnesota, where they've just decided to descend on allegations of fraud that we all see what's going on in the news. So let's just pray and keep praying for them, and praying for our community, really nationwide. Sometimes it's hard to believe that this is the United States, a nation that is literally built by immigrants. Because unless you're a Native American, you're from somewhere. And it's amazing that the same people who took over someone else's land, which is America, are the ones fighting so hard. Because that's where insecurity comes in. When something you have, you actually didn't have a rightful ownership to it. That's usually what happens. You get scared that somebody else is going to take it from you, just like you took it from someone else. That's exactly what is going on. But here we are. We take it a day at a time. All right, let's see. So I'll go around and just put the questions in the comment section, and I'll try to answer as many as we possibly can. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Adirunke. I appreciate that. We thank God. I've never heard that before. At Banny 419, where I was going to say 419. That was the first thing that came to that mind. I don't know. The numbers confused me. Um, I've never heard Nigeria being called Bongo before. Am I living in my own bubble? Like, what does that even mean? What does that translate to mean? But like, why is Nigeria called? Who has anyone else heard of Nigeria being called Bongo? And if so, why? 10 years ago, I mistakenly filled an I-9 form claiming to be a non-U.S. citizen national. Any hopes for me? Non-U.S. citizen. So you claim to be a U.S. A U.S. US United States national, or you? What do you mean by non-U.S. citizen national? What does that mean? There's U.S. citizen and there's U.S. nationals. I'm not sure I understand your question. It's a state of mind. Yeah. Okay. If I filed for a VAWA and there is a mistake, which I'm supposed to select a petition on spouse, but I selected petition on parents. But can you help me to correct and handle the case for me? Mr. Muhammad, you're welcome to schedule a consultation to discuss your case in full. But generally, like, once again, responses to questions on this platform are general in nature, nothing specific to anyone's case. Generally, you are requesting for a completely different what's it called, benefit. So I'm not sure how long ago you filed it, but it's important that you contact USCIS. You can, in this case, since it's a written application, you're going to have to do an updated I-360 and let them know you are requesting to amend a medical correction to your petition because you selected the wrong category. So, but if you need us to help, you're going to start with a consultation first. If you're not a member of anything that's Nigeria, you are the good ones. Not all those in Europe as Nigeria, or you are all. What the heck is this one? See, I have zero patience today. Zero patience. Anyway, listen. Anyway. Zero patience, complete patience. You're going to be blocked. We, as immigrants, we've got a whole lot going on. The last thing we need is for anyone to come into this space and be negative about it. It's not going to happen. It's not even going to happen. That much I can guarantee you. Okay, you claim to be. Well, I mean, there's nothing you can do at this point. Hopefully, that doesn't become a problem down the road because that you claim it's almost like you have citizenship rights, but. Have you ever done a FOIA request of your records? You may want to do that just to have your record and see. But I mean, you just have to wait to see what happens. And if that ever comes up, usually there's, early retraction or immediate retraction in cases like that. It just depends on it would also depend on the immigration officer or adjudicating officer in your case. Okay. All right, so let's go to. I think because I read TikTok the last time. Let's start with Instagram this time around. Hello, Miss Sophia. How are you? Hi, Miss Sanctuary. How are you? Hello, Miss Binky. How are you? Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. I think the same person who always calls me Sissy Nurse. I'm not really sure. I remember your username, and I think we corrected by we. I said if I'm not sorry we chimed in that I mean, how am I a nurse? I'm coming to talk about immigration stuff. But anyway, let's see. I had to turn off the news. For me, I don't seek to watch the news, but I have to know what's going on because the work that I do, whether I like it or not, I have to know what's going on in the immigration world. Is it challenging and just disheartening sometimes? I mean, when it gets to the point of someone losing their life, that's as bad as it can get, right? Um, but we have to know what's going on for the sake of our community. Yeah. God will see us through this year in Jesus' name. Amen. It's crazy here in Minnesota. CK Organic Skincare. So I take it you are in Minnesota. If you put it in a comment, let us know. I know obviously we can see what's going on in the news, but it's one thing to actually believe in it and see what's going on. And then the next thing is in Portland is like, what I mean, these are and it's amazing how you watch people be brainwashed and cannot, it's like robots, right? Like you can't even think for yourself. Someone says jump and you're all jumping and doing, nobody's sitting down to think of, and really it's those people where it's all like out dropouts or whatever that they now give uniforms to and give you weapons and make you powerful, and that's where you can exert your power. But anyway, this space will remain positive and faith focused no matter what's out there. Amen. And that's why that person got blocked. Zero, not even tonight. No, the wrong one. I'm the very wrong one to mess with. Let's see. Yeah, so new year, new questions. That's what we're doing tonight. Let me show that. New year, new questions. Let's see. Thank you, Mr. Kelvin. Hello, Mr. Lechi. How are you? Hello, Epic Movement. What's going on? Be rapidly blocked. Well, anyway. Hello, Miss Mazala. How are you? Yes, Miss Sanctuary. I thought we already addressed this the last time. I'm not really sure what I don't know. Hello, Miss Abena. How Happy New Year. How are you? Good to have you join us today. Is it true I have to have a hospital record or police statement to file for VAWA? It is not true. However, with USCI is now wanting, they released a policy, I think it was 2 weeks ago before the holidays, about how they're not going to be adjudicating VAWA cases and what they expect to have primary evidence. But it doesn't. So I know a lot of people like, okay, doesn't mean I can no longer use declaration as main proof of abuse and all that. That's not what it means. It just means that there's going to be probably more RF has been issued, especially because credible evidence now is going to be left to the discretion of the adjudicating officer. Credible evidence was, was introduced was part of why Congress introduced VAWA to start with, basically saying that because we understand that victims of abuse may not necessarily have primary evidence of the requirements for a VAWA case. So we're saying that as long as it falls within the standard of credible evidence, which can include declaration, witness affidavits, and all that. But you don't need a hospital record, a police statement, because the thing is, abuse is not just physical abuse. However, if you're claiming physical abuse with this new guidance that they put out, whether or not they're going to expect to have like photos of your injury, police statements, we don't know. But if your abuse that you are claiming in your VAWA case is not physical, then there's no expectation of having a police report or a hospital record because you didn't suffer anything that would make you make a criminal complaint or file a criminal complaint or go to the hospital. Abuse can be, it can be sexual, and there are people who actually can be sexually assaulted even in the marriage. In a sense, for instance, if you tell your spouse that you're not in the mood and they disregard that and they still, have sex with you, that's just what it is. That's rape against your will. It doesn't mean you're going to have any injuries or no. For the most part, there's psychological abuse, there's financial abuse, there's immigration-related control. The different types of abuse that's not necessarily physical. Anything about travel, I've already said it, that's not a question I answer, but just so to say one thing I'll just say is this. And I had a consultation with someone who the street lawyers around him told him that the travel ban also includes green card holders. Hear me loud and clear. The day that they tell green card holders they can't come into the country anymore, then then the Americans lost it. The travel ban specifically states that legal permanent residents are exempt. They are exempt from travel ban. So if you've got a green card, there's nothing that says you cannot come into the United States after a travel. Whether or not you should now travel, consult with your attorney or sit down with one to discuss your case and the facts of your case. But generally, for even me, I'm telling you, especially with what my client, Mr. A, just put me through, thank God he's back in the country. But I'm telling everybody, if you do not, unless it is, absolutely necessary for you to travel, please sit down where you are and have 10 seats and just let things die down a little bit. But anything about can you travel, that's not the question I'm going to answer. Just here trying to stay out of the way. I feel you. So that's what I'm saying. Listen, it's good to fight. It's good to know your rights and all that. But fighting and advocating out that doesn't mean you throw wisdom away. I'm not saying anything about what happened to you. I'm just saying for us, you have to, with everything that's happened, this is where wisdom comes into play, where you choose your battles. And we just have to choose our battles and just see how God works this out. 5 months without VAWA receipt notice, what to do? You're not alone. I still have cases that we filed back in June of last year. So basically going on 7 months now that we still don't have receipt notices. And that's just the reality of what we're seeing. So there's nothing, you're just going to have to wait. People are like, should I just resubmit another case? If you do, you're going to complicate things. You don't even want to put yourself out there with them saying they're going to be reviewing and re-reviewing files and all that and putting things on hold. This is not the time you want to put as many applications in the works. Like, are y'all not reading what's going on? Because I met someone who was like, why in God's name would you think this is the right time for you to have a duplicate petition and submit everything? When just because you want to get a receipt notice. And so what happens to the one that you already filed? For some reason, Ms. Eben, I think I guess those sweet lawyers change. Listen, yeah, he was afraid, but I reviewed his file. He's had his green card for a while. He doesn't have any Nigerian divorce, epidemic issues. He's still cordial with it. He's got everything going on for him. His mother passed, so they're going to do it better. So in cases like this, where we can actually consult and evaluate your circumstances and say, what, obviously nobody can guarantee any outcome when you're coming back, but based on the ABC, I don't anticipate any issue, or based on ABC, then you need to have several seats and go nowhere. It will just depend. Should I book a consultation for the customer representative for a VAWA case? I don't have, you're not booking a consultation to get fees. You don't book consultation to get fees. Good girl, Marisa. You get a consultation so I can evaluate your case and to decide if you even qualify for one, and then let you know what your fee is, because I don't have set fees. That's what a consultation is for. But anyway, they've already given you an answer, but that's the detailed explanation of that. I'm due to file for citizenship next year, January. When is the right time to have a consultation with you? Because if you're not retaining my services within 90 days of your consultation, you're going to have to schedule a new meeting altogether, because things change. My fees change, laws change, your situation changes. So it's not a time now. When you are, so January next year, we'll probably, so is that January next, is that the start of the 90-day period, or that's actually when you reach the 3-year or 5-year mark? Either way, about 90 days before you start is usually a good time to consult. Unfortunately, the current climate, people are scared and can be easily scammed. Yeah, absolutely. And please, you have to do your homework. if you're going to be consulting with somebody and they tell you they're an attorney, for instance, if you go on the New York State Bar attorney registration website, if you go on the Alabama State Bar and find a member and put in my name, my name will come up on both websites. You'll see my name and you'll see my bar number. So if someone tells you they are an attorney, so every state has that. You can't verify whether, and I say this. I consulted with somebody who we just took over the VAWA case. We did it for and all that. But and that was end of last November thereabout. And so we had another meeting because now I'm taking over the case and I just wanted to fill them in on what the FOIA record and all that. But this person has paid almost $8,000 to someone who they thought was an attorney. And now they have zero contact with them. They paid $7,000, just a little under $8,000. We've got the FOIA back and it doesn't have anything in there that if VAWA case was filed for them. If there was anything filed, it should be in the FOIA record. So nothing. It's not, and this is a time when this is not a case. This is not a situation where it was during a time that receipt notices are being delayed. So just be careful who you're giving your money to. It's amazing how people are trying to, someone, you consult with an attorney and they tell you this is their fee and like, that's just outrageous and all that. And you go to another person, they tell you maybe half of that and you feel, oh yes. But then you find out it's not an attorney. Then you've just wasted your time and money. And now you have to go back to the person you said was too expensive and then pay a whole lot more because then you can't get. So you just have to, we live and learn, yeah, but you just have to be careful, especially now. People are taking advantage of people because they know, just like Dr. said, people are scared. It's the climate we're in. So anything you tell people, and unfortunately, that's what happens. There would always be people that would abuse the situation, just like what's going on. Not has ever since I'm going away. I mean, yeah. That's when you reach the 90-day mark. So you're not, the 3-year or 5-year is not actually up until sometime in April of next year. Yeah, almost $8,000 gone, and they have zero contact. I mean, I know they tried to do. I think they said they tried to do, because unfortunately they paid with check and all that. Because if you do credit card, I don't even know how that works. If you call your credit card, I don't know. But anyway, we just have to be careful. Let's see. Let me start praying. Happy New Year. All right. Let's see. I'll get to TikTok real quick. Let's see. Does the $15,000 visa bond include medical treatment, travel? What do you mean include? What do you mean does it include? It's specifically for those who are applying for a B1, B2 visa. And if your country is on the travel in the visa bond list, then when you have the interview, the officer will decide how much the bond you're going to be required to pay. It's specifically for that visa type. So I'm not sure I understand what you mean by medical treatment and travel. Medical treatment travel. Do you represent people in divorce court only in the state of Alabama? Good evening, Miss Patience. We're just having questions. If you look on the screen, it's New Year, new questions. I don't think a plan B has ever made so much sense until now. And I understand your reasoning, but faith also kicks in and says if you try to see plan B is being logical, but then there's always a place for faith. Faith doesn't create plan B, because then like either you're trusting God to resolve this matter and have a solution to your case, or you're already looking for an alternative just in case God doesn't take care of it the way you want to be taken care of. That's the way I always see plan B. That's just me. I live my life with having plan A with God. Doesn't mean your plan A cannot change, but it's never, oh, I have to have this on the side just in case. That's the way my brain operates with faith. So, but I mean, to each their own. Hello, Miss Melody. How are you? Can you educate us on green card inadmissibilities? What do you mean? That's a whole lot. That's just so many things that can make you inadmissible. So that's a very broad question. All right, let's go to TikTok. Okay, let's see. I'll come back to. Baba Fafi. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Happy New Year, Honeybee. Humble team, Happy New Year. Good evening. Does the ban of Niger affect the children without four? Yes, in a nutshell. How that's going to play out, we're all waiting to see. Now, for instance, today we received 3 emails from NVC on cases that there's one actually somebody just, I think a week before we left for the holidays. And so 3 cases we got emails saying they were documentary qualified. And I bring that up so you know that it's not like nothing is happening. They're still processing cases. You may even get to the point where they tell you that they're going to approve your immigrant visa for your relative. However, based on the ban, the issuance of that visa, there obviously some people are already getting those letters of we cannot approve your case, we're denying or refusing your. But you may also get an approval, but you may also get a letter saying we cannot issue the immigrant visa because of the ban. We're just going to have to wait to see how all of this plays out. But our immediate relatives also included, and also relatives of green card holders included in family petitions included in the travel ban. Yes. Okay. If you came through the border without parole, you can't marry a U.S. citizen. Are you telling me you're asking? I guess you're asking B. You can marry, but unless you're filing, unless you have a case like a VAWA case that gives you an exemption if you're only entered illegally one time, you can get married. The person can file an I-130 for you, but you're going to need an I-601A approved, and then leave the country and apply for your immigrant visa. Hopefully, you're not from a travel ban country. So, if you got your 10 years green card through VAWA, how long do you need to wait before citizenship? I answered this question so many times, but 3 years from the day you get your green card, from the residence since date on your green card. If your abusive spouse is a citizen, if their abusive spouse is a green card holder, 5 years. Is NBC still scheduled? I think I just answered that question. I think the people in Europe say that as a code of slang. Oh, okay. Y'all in the UK and Germany and all of that, y'all call Nigeria bongo. But what does that even mean? Is USCI still acknowledging you recently filed? Absolutely, yes, absolutely. We still send out cases today. So nothing in the policy, and I think I clarified this on Tuesday. If you're not here, but our videos are usually up on. I'm not sure about TikTok. Kyla, a girl who does social media, knows that I couldn't tell you the first thing about it, but because I'm a follower of. Yes, I actually follow our pages from my personal Facebook and Instagram pages. I mean, if I have a business and I'm not following my business, like a question of guarantee. So I get those notifications as well, so I can see what's being posted. And then if I have an issue with that, they're like, hey, and I have to approve because it's legal information. So videos from Tuesday is on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook for sure. That much I can tell you. Nothing says you cannot file. Even the policy is very clear. They explain that we're going to continue processing of your application. We're just not going to make a final decision on it, whether it's an approval, a denial, a revocation. We're just not going to make a final decision on it. That's, and it's in the policy as well. Hello, Ms. Mackey. How are you? How was your holiday? Are you still in Canada? Happy New Year. 5 months without VAWA receipt notices. What to do? Wait. Don't complicate. There's a lady who has, and she is really freaking out, for lack of a better phrase. I think she's got three I-485 pending. And she came to us and like, how can you help? I'm like, hey, sorry, I'm not getting on your case. I just, no, that's no, not even going to touch you with a very long pole. Don't complicate things. I don't know why we're so impatient as a community. Truth be told, that's the truth. A lot of those immigrants are very impatient. I understand the delay and all that, but at the end of the day, just wait. And that's why for us in my firm, there's no way I can send out anything to immigration without a confirmation of delivery that somebody signs for. I can't even tell you how many times that simple routine that I've done for over 10 years has helped in being able to get service requests to reopen, I-290B motion to reopen approved, because we have proof that y'all dropped the ball and it wasn't on our end. You know, for instance, I had an appeal that they rejected and said because we sent it almost 2.5 weeks after, but they received it on August 1st. USCI's receipt notice says August 18th. So the AA were just like, no. Y'all ain't going to find any package from my firm regarding this case that was delivered to you on August 18th. And here's why. Because I had my evidence, FedEx, and then the person who signed for it on August 1st and all that. So as long as you have that, there really isn't anything else you can do but to wait. Just don't worry. You already have proof it was delivered. Just wait and get your receipt notices. We are still in the process of getting receipt notices for cases filed in June of 2025. So just be patient. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. Sunshine, welcome. First time here. Welcome. This is one of the most positive places. Miss Ellen Sector, what do you usually say? Positive space and something. Or welcome. Mimi left and leave. Welcome. First time here as well. Welcome. If you got your 10, okay, I already answered. Please do not repeat questions. Mr. Artist, I was going to answer your question, but you decided to repeat it, so they wouldn't be answered, or you wouldn't be answered. So I submitted N400 2 weeks ago and no receipt from USCIS. Be patient and wait. Thank you, baby. Be patient, people. Like, y'all. Listen, the day God was giving the patience was a trait to people, I wasn't present, I'll tell you that. I think I started learning patience when I became a mom. It's still a work in progress, but there's some things in life you just have to, you just let it go and just hold on, you know. I'm a Nigerian. I'm eligible to file for naturalization. Can I go ahead to file with all of that? So nothing stops you from filing. Now, let me say this. Okay, let me finish these questions first. Is it true that any Nigerian divorce is not legal? That's not true. If that's the case, then they'll close all high courts in Nigeria. Let's see. Okay. Can I travel? Another question I'm going to answer as far as traveling. Can a person with approved asylum connect you at AOS if married to LPR came on be to no unlawful presence? If you have an approved asylum case, meaning you are an asylee, that's a legal status. So yes, you can still get your green card through marriage to a green card holder because that's a legal status. Does the new policy affect EB1 premium processing application filed by Nigerian living in the United States? Generally, yes, Professor, but they also said that people's whose applications are in the national interest. And that's why I also explained that on Tuesday, that so if you are someone who has like an NIW, EB1, EB2, and because one of the things, for instance, EB2, NIW, you've got to show that it's of national importance and all that. You may make an argument that you know it's in national interest that they approve your petition, and then so there are exemptions. If you read that policy, the researchers and all that. So I don't know what your EB1 basis was, so you may fall within that exemption. But generally, everything is. But there are exemptions. The I-90, 765 for those who have pending asylum cases and filing work permit for the first time. In national interests, approval will be in the national interests of the country. Those are some of the exemptions in the policy. Are you saying all your mails are sent with certified mail? Not certified mail. I send everything to USCIS or the Administrative Appeals Office or Immigration Court with either USPS, USPS, UPS, or FedEx. And it has to be signed for. Yes, every single time it has to be signed for. If we're sending something to USCIS, I really cannot think of anything we send that is not signed for. I just can't, because one of the things, I mean, those who have been my client to tell you, you get a copy, you get a link to your file, to a copy of your file to download, and you also get a link of your tracking so you can track the package yourself. I love to be able to sleep. Listen, I hardly get 8 hours of sleep. So the number of hours I get to sleep at night, I really came out thinking whether or not somebody's package was delivered. I need to know was delivered. I just need to know. We've got confirmation of delivery. End of story. That's it. Yes, it is just something we've done for over 10 years in my firm. It makes life a lot easier. Did they pause all of our applications? They didn't pause all of our applications unless you are one of the 39 countries affected. And it's not like a pause. I want to be clear again. The pause is not like they're not doing anything on your case. Once again, we were very detailed about that discussion on Tuesday. So it's right there in the video if you go on our page. What's the procedure for your consultation? You just have to go on our website or call my office at 334-341-4475. You do it yourself. Provide you with a link or in our website the link is there. Just click it and schedule your own consultation there. Can you domesticate a Nigerian divorce and you mean authenticate? Or you mean to what's it called? Register with in your state. I'm not sure what you mean exactly by domesticate. Will I get in trouble if I enroll in school with a work permit while marriage-based green card is pending? Some schools allow you if you show that you have a pending I-485. It's not getting in trouble. Let's see. Any major changes with this administration? I think we've already talked about that. You're welcome, Professor. Okay, let's go. Do you have any information about initial OPT-80 for a student who just graduated and is from a partially banned country? Does the January 1 memo affect it? Dara, I think those are things we're going to have to wait to see. The OPT is not, don't quote me on this, but I don't recall seeing OPT as an exemption. So if it's not an exemption, I think I pulled I would assume that, but I know there are some initial work permits that are exempt. So I don't want to tell you yes or no without going back to check that. So that's something, if you go on Google and just put in and I think we're just going to put that policy on our page. So everybody has access to it. So I can't tell you yes or no. I don't want to give you a wrong answer. If one gets arrested by ICE with a pending VAWA application, what are the chances of seeing an immigration judge to conclude the case? You can't conclude your VAWA case with immigration court because an I-360 is within the sole discretion of USCIS. What you can do is to file VAWA cancellation or removal in court, which requires a different it has a different set of requirements, but you cannot transfer I-360 from USCIS to immigration court. Now, you can adjust status, meaning the green card part of it can be filed with the court based on a VAWA case, but it used to be that even if you have a prima facie determination, back when PD requests was still a thing, I got so many cases terminated based on having a PFD, even though the VAWA petition wasn't approved. Now, just having something that is pending, even with a prima facie determination, most judges are not going to grant a motion to terminate. So we're living in different times. I hope that answers your question. Can an asylum seeker seek for school admission from the United States and another country? I can't tell you what's going to happen in another country. Should you go ahead to file for your green card or wait till the ban is? You need to go ahead and file. And I said that on Tuesday. What if they come back and say you can't even file anything, and we're just going to address or process those who already have their applications in? This is not the time to take chances about something and wait. For instance, I had a consult this afternoon as well with someone who was waiting for his right to be 2 years before he filed anything, and now he's like, I should have, could have, would have. Yeah, this is the third time I'm actually meeting with him. Like, yeah, you would have had your 2-year green card by now, especially on the back. Yeah, you would have. Not on the back. Yeah, on the back, you would have probably. Yeah, but he was waiting, and it was 2 years last year. So here we are, and he was still waiting. Okay, it is what it is. How long will it take to issue a green card after application? Will pending asylum cases also be placed? It's not just about travel, but all pending asylum cases, they already said that even before this travel ban, they are holding everything on those asylum cases. Okay, let's see. Where's the time? I submitted my VAWA May 13, 2025. No receipt notice. I plan to resubmit next week based on the ban. As a Nigerian, will I get SSN and work permit at least while I wait for everything else? That's what we don't think is going to happen. Now, let me say this. There are some of my colleagues who have filed lawsuits on behalf of clients, class action lawsuits, regarding this pause, and on the basis that it is unconstitutional, it's illegal, and it is going to basically just this is just trying to financially cripple immigrants. So because the only work permit that I can recall, just like I was telling this person, that is exempt is someone who's filing their C8 for the first time, C11, C14, C9 is not part of the exemption. So that basically means that you may not be able to you may file it, but they wouldn't approve it unless the court says otherwise with the lawsuit that is pending. I would not recommend that you resubmit your VAWA petition, but that's up to you. If someone with a 2-year green card files taxes as married, filing separately would not affect the person. It would depend on what other evidence you have. Hello, Miss Fumbi. How are you? Right, Miss Fumbi, right? I mean, there was nothing that we found or mailed that you didn't get a copy of, right? Yes, Neil? I will be eligible to apply for naturalization from January 20. Can I still apply? I've answered that question already. So if someone with a 10-year green card unintentionally forgot to submit a change of address years a few months after he will impact, just go ahead and submit it. That shouldn't change anything. My VAWA is not pending for 3.6 years. What can I do? Is this the right time to ask? Before you make any inquiry to USCIS, go on uscis.gov/processing time. Put in your received date, your priority date when you got your case. It will tell you whether or not your case is it's outside normal processing time. If your case is still within normal processing time, just let it be. VAWA is taking up to 4 years before USCIS, and that's before the travel ban or before the pause. With this new pause, that's what you contact your congressperson or senator. That's the response they're going to give them, saying, hey, this person is from a country that is part of the travel ban, so there's a hold on adjudicating petitions. So thank you, Miss Mooney. So I passed my N400 interview December 5th. I'm still waiting for ultim. What can I do? You can't do anything because you're, from your name, I can tell you're Nigerian, so you're probably going to be subject to the hold. You're allowed in the room with an applicant for a green card interview. What do you mean that you're allowed in the room? My girl went to my office for biometrics for AOS, but she's from partial ban country. Worried about what? So she's gone to the for the biometrics. So what are you worried about? Can I? Okay, I don't answer questions about travel. Will someone on derivative court pending asylum case go back to court when they have ALS approved, even though they're not the main applicant? If you are in court, USCIS no longer has jurisdiction to approve your green card unless the court terminates your proceedings, so you can have USCIS and adjust and go back to USCIS to adjust your case, to adjust your status. I filed March. Look, now if you're talking of March 2025, that's a different thing. I don't know why you should not have received a receipt notice by that. I don't have any case that was filed in March that we don't have a receipt notice. Yet another. Anyway, okay. All right, people. So let me say this, and I was going to say, that's going to say is it right? Okay. One of the things USCIS says that they're going to do is to do a re-review of, listen to you be using your faith has been so uplifting. Thank you for being so open and honest in professing your faith and inspiring. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate that. I don't know if to anything else, but that's my, it's a blessing and also a challenge, because we're like, she's very brash and direct. Not brash, I'm just very transparent. Epic movement, like Leo babies, we just don't know how to be anything else but just I'm thinking it and it's coming out from my mouth. But anyway, so one of the things USCIS says they're going to be doing is a re-review, re-examination of approved cases. What does that mean? And we'll talk more about that next week, but just real quick before you file. That basically means that if you, for instance, someone who has a 2-year green card or a 10-year green card, they can go back and review your file and decide, oh, should we look in the divorce document that's submitted and see if it was actually genuine, or do we have reason to believe it was a questionable document? So that's basically what, and anyone that filed their case or that was granted their case on or after January 20, 2021. And if you are from those travel ban countries. So let me say this, especially to my fellow Nigerian brothers and sisters. Today, Daruko Nigeria see specifically see is this paragraph in 𝒊𝒎𝒎𝒊𝒈𝒓𝒂𝒏𝒕. So let me say this. If you are in the process of, now, if you have to file, if you have a 2-year green card, you're already having to file your 751, you don't have a choice, you have to file, or else they will send you a notice terminating your status. So you don't, but I'm talking to those who are like going to file for citizenship, right? You have your 10-year green card and you're due for citizenship, but you know that your divorce decree that you submitted to get your green card is very, very questionable. Like even Stevie Wonder would look at it and say, it's not right. It's a joke. Don't be serious about that. But you get a point. Please do not file anything. Do not file for citizenship now. If they're going to start re-examination of those cases, This is not the time that you now want, because one of the things about, and I think I said this on Tuesday and I'm saying it again, one of the things about filing for citizenship is they have to pull your file. And one of the requirements is you have to show that you were lawfully admitted as a legal permanent resident before you can be sworn in as a citizen. So if you file for citizenship and you know that your divorce decree may be questionable, and they've already said we're going to do a re-examination, they are basically just putting your case right in front of them and say, hey, by the way, yes, look at my file before you randomly select. And if they look at that and say, oh, this is a questionable divorce document, just merely by being a Nigerian, they are going to look at your file and then look, oh, did you do your divorce in Nigeria? And then start to see whether or not it was a real divorce. So if you know that you're not sure that, or better simply this way, if your lawyer in Nigeria that sent those cousins, it's like everyone which the US or mail in DHL of me send documents in, and you know it didn't come from a law firm in Nigeria, it came from Obalende mechanic shop. I mean, but I can send it. You already know. Then just please don't mess things up for yourself. Just leave it as is. Do let sleeping dogs lie. Don't rock the boat. Let things blow over a little bit and let's see where we're going, and then pick it back up from there. So the word is not for the wise. But listen, there's a whole lot going on. We see the news and all that. But again, whose report we will believe? We will believe the report of the Lord. In spite of what's going on, we pray for the families of those who have been deeply, irreversibly affected by this unnecessarily warranted tragedy. And we continue to pray for the immigrant community and pray for God's strength, and keep hoping, knowing that this new year, it may not look like things are going, it's starting off, but listen, it will get to this point where our testimonies will be loud. Our testimonies will be loud. And we'll look back and say it looked very gloomy at first, but God stepped in. That's our testimony. So just hold on. It shall be well. I'll see you guys next week.